What's good, Wagering World? It's your boy Five Star in Vegas, broadcasting live as always from beautiful Summerlin, Nevada. And here with my co-host, my guy, the only Sacramento Kings fan that I know. What's good, Spread Astaire? How are you today?
Man, the drought officially ends tomorrow as everyone's going to be heading into Golden One Center. I myself am
Yeah,
actually going down to the Bay Area to watch the games, so that should be fun. But no, I'm really excited. I was telling Skee right before the show, though, sometimes these first round playoff matchups, we get all excited for the playoffs. Sometimes these matchups aren't too good, but we'll be getting into that here in a bit.
yeah. It's been a really early, exciting play-in tournament. The play-in tournament is
I
working out
love the
exactly.
play-in, and
Yeah,
then the first rounders will kind of, because the teams are more evenly matched.
yeah, yeah,
We'll see how evenly matched these teams are.
yeah. It's really been fun to watch. Great idea by Adam Silver and the NBA. That's one of the new things they've implemented that I do like. So I got to give them their props. We gave NBA kind of a March Madness type of feel. Let's get to the past and talk about some of those games from a couple nights ago.
Bulls and Raptors we need to
Yep.
talk about.
Yep.
DeMar DeRozan's daughter stole the show, uh,
Yeah.
but but really, it's too bad because we need to get Zach LaVine his props. He was scoring when it mattered. I know DeRozan had some key buckets too, but I think a lot of that started from the fact that they could not slow down LaVine. Great team effort overall. And that Raptors team's checked out. I think they're going to have a new coach, and I think they might mix up some of the personnel there because I understand what they're trying for. It didn't seem to work. Maybe they need something new there. What'd you see when the Bulls beat the Raptors?
I saw Zach LaVine do his best um, imitation of Kobe and the skill set that he has. You know, he was a big Kobe fan growing up, and he as most players in that generation, was just a diehard Kobe Bryant guy, and he took on that Mamba mentality that game. And shout out to DeMar DeRozan for empowering him. He didn't. Sometimes you have other superstars and they're not getting their looks or not getting fed, and they get that hating on their co-star, like we saw a little bit going on out in Dallas. But DeMar DeRozan continued to encourage Levine. There's even one moment I seen Levine bark at him because he missed a defensive switch, and it ended up resulting in a foul where Miami got some free throws, and Levine got on his button. DeMar didn't, try to, pull his card or try to pull the vet tag. He listened, and the next play made the adjustment. So they really were working well together. You could tell those guys have a really good, open relationship, and I think they really enjoy playing together. And the Bulls have underachieved all year, man. You look at their roster; they have a good team, and uh, of course the glue guy for them is my guy from Houston, went to Texas A&M, and the Lakers really miss him. So they're saying some people are saying that Caruso's the best defensive wing in the NBA. I don't know about that, but I know he's a hell of a glue guy. He makes huge plays, huge winning plays for his teams. He did that in high school in the Houston area. He did it at Texas A&M, and now he's doing it for the Bulls like he did it for the Lakers. And he's always a great piece to have on a playoff team. He played really well. Um, Overall, what I take from the Raptors, they're checked out. As you said, Nick Nurse looked like he's just going through the motions. He's ready to get from out there. And I think uh, the Kawhi Leonard championship is going to serve Toronto well for the next decade. I think that they kind of fall back and they kind of tank the next 3 or 4 years, I believe. I think that they, are already a team that doesn't get a lot of eyes outside of Canada. So I think that they're about to do a major overhaul. I would not be surprised if they move off Nick Nurse, they move off OG, they move off of Van Fleet, and maybe even Pascal Siakam. But for sure, I think that this is Van Fleet's Nurse and OG Anabayu's last year in Toronto as they begin to rebuild.
All right. We'll see what happens with the Raptors on the offseason. And then in the evening game, coming into tonight, it was number 10 seeds were 0-4. They're now 2-4 in playing tournaments because the Oklahoma City Thunder, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and Josh Giddey got it done against the New Orleans Pelicans team. Disappointed. I was 3 for 3 on sides going into that game, and you know,
It's my
you like
fault.
the
I changed your
Pelicans.
opinion. I changed your
Tyler did
opinion.
too.
Yeah.
Tyler did too. You
Yeah.
know, there was a lot of good remarks there. Boy, that was a rough watch for CJ McCollum. CJ McCollum,
Super
man.
rough.
Yeah,
There she
he's
goes. What's up,
yeah.
Dasha?
That's Pinko today. Pinko's wilder. I might have to get her out. She'll
Oh,
knock
that's
it out.
Pinko.
Yeah, she
Big
might bust it
Pinko.
off there. Yeah, she'll shake everything around. What was I say? Oh, CJ McCollum, rough
Yeah.
night, man. And they really needed a scoring. It didn't come through. I don't know what the Pelicans do now. What Zion's played in like 40 of 120 available games, or what? I mean, it's tough to just sit around and wait for him to get healthy. And they have a lot of good pieces otherwise that don't seem to fit. I don't know how much McCollum still fits on this team. I think they should get more of that big wing identity and try and build more around Herb, Trey, and BI and just be a bigger team. And CJ as the small guard is the one spot on that defense that you can just continue to attack. And if he's not making shots on the other end, he's a negative on the floor. And we saw that. I don't want to do too much trash in the Pelicans, though. Let's go ahead and give the Thunder credit. Obviously, he's had better statistical games, but as far as the stage, best game of Josh Giddey's career. And it came at a time where, you know, this season there was times that they looked bad on the floor together, and we were wondering if Giddey and Shea could coexist, and maybe Giddey needs to be traded to a spot where he could be more on ball. But it was good to see him be effective in a night where Shea played really well as well. What did you think?
As you said, CJ McCollum, he's an issue. The Pelicans, we talked about that earlier in the season. The Pelicans lost that trade. Blazers won it by a mile. They end up getting a better player in Simons and dumping the contract they had on McCallum, and they got back some draft picks. So, really good job by the Blazers front office being able to be a year ahead, like how Belichick attempts to be with his players. McCallum can still be a contributor on the correct team. You know, he needs to be on a team that's ready to win now. That's close. He'll do really good with the Lakers, you know, coming off the bench with the team that they have and being the sixth man and, you know, the ball's in his hands while LeBron's resting. He'd do well probably with Miami. He needs to go to a veteran team where he can come off the bench and give them some instant offense. Because as you said, if you play him too many minutes at this stage of his career, he's a defensive liability. He's always been small, but now he's even less athletic than he already was. You know, he's never been this jump out the gym guy, but he competed. And, you know, as you get older and the checks get to growing, you don't have as much fire in your tank anymore. And I think he's getting a little frustrated with playing with the young guys because whether he wants to admit it or not, I know they had a great playoff run last year and fooled a lot of people, including myself, where I thought they were ready to contend, but they're really just a young team, man. They have a lot of more growing to do, and they need to log some more playoff minutes before they're really considered a contender. So I would not be surprised at all if CJ McCollum moves this summer, some type of way they get him to a veteran team that could use him. As far as the winning team, impressed the hell out of me, man. I thought the stage was going to be too big. The two guys that I told you that I was worried about were the guys that stepped up and played the biggest for the Thunder, and that was Dort and Giddey, because we knew that SGA is going to get his, but they were going to make it very difficult on him with Herb. And also, you know, Willie Green is a pretty good defensive schemer, so he had a nice scheme where the ball ended up being in the hands of Dort behind the three-point line and Giddey, as we expected. And both of those guys came through big. OKC has a bright future, man. We've said this for the second time in their franchise history. They're really almost in the same spot they were when they had Harden, Westbrook, and KD. Young talent, ferocious competitors. And we haven't even seen the number one draft pick from early in this year. And I know from watching him at Gonzaga and through college, he's a feisty one. He's going to fight and give effort too in the playoffs. So mentality is a half the battle when it comes to these young players. And these guys did not shy away from the stage at all. They like they were prepared to compete, prepared to win, and also believe that they belonged there and they played like it. They shocked the hell out of me. I didn't think in any type of way that OKC could go to New Orleans and win. And it's very surprising too. All of the dogs this weekend won. All the road teams won in the first round of the play-in game,
Except for Minnesota.
except for Minnesota. That's what I was just about to
Yeah.
say. Except for Minnesota, but they covered.
They probably
All
should
the
have won
dogs covered.
too. They
Yeah,
probably should have won.
all the dogs covered. So we're at a time with a lot of parity in professional sports, and it's enjoyable for the fans. A little tough on us bettors because it's hard to get a little, an advantage. But really good game, and as I said, I couldn't be more impressed by the Thunder.
All right, let's bring in our guest. And were the Timberwolves lucky to win on Tuesday night?
Timberwolves.
Were the Lakers lucky to beat the Timberwolves? I'm sorry,
um,
I haven't slept that much. I'm a little tired today.
I had to think about it. I was like, but the Lakers, I feel like you just saw the Timberwolves inexperienced a little bit. Make sure that, and the Lakers were already the better team, and the healthier team at that point. So just the experience, the more the game went on, we've seen the Lakers do that plenty of times. So I wasn't surprised by it. I wouldn't call it luck. Um, I'm happy with the outcome though.
No
Yeah,
doubt.
you should be because, well, you know what? Lakers Nuggets would have been interesting. I don't even know if that's like that bad a matchup for you, but you didn't want to be on that side and play potentially KD in the second round, right? I still think it's going to be a great series, and we talked about it beforehand. In the East, I think the top three seeds could be smacking people down, whereas in the West, they're all going to be pretty good. Maybe not the eighth seed, but hey, we don't want to count the Thunder out. Let's dive into tonight. The Chicago Bulls, they got the win, right? Now they face the Miami Heat. The Bulls are plus 5.5. That's an interesting line. I'm personally a little bit surprised there that they're catching so many points when they're the much better offense, and they've been playing pretty good defense since Pat Beverly arrived. Right now, I'm leaning towards the Bulls 5-star. What do you think?
Good morning to you, Skee.
Good morning, brother.
All right, good to have you back on, man. Um, it's going to be hard for me to go against the Bulls in this game. I mean, the line is kind of tricky, especially with the success that the Bulls have showed against Miami all year. I mean, they've really dominated the series in the regular season. I expect a big game from DeMar DeRozan. I'll talk about a little bit later in the Ball and Parlay. They have his point total really low at 23 and a half, especially with him having kind of a mediocre game and Zach LaVine getting the shine last game. If you look through the matchups throughout the season, the Heat haven't had an answer for DeRozan. He's went off on them every time they played each other. So I just think the Bulls are the better team, man. I think the Heat are old, man. They're relying on Jimmy Butler, and he's a step slower this year. We forget Jimmy Butler's up in age, man. He's not a kid anymore. But what does trouble me is, you know how I feel about that public betting. 79% of the public is on the Bulls, man. So, that's one thing that kind of does, make me kind of think twice about it. But in my right mind, there's no way I don't take the Bulls with the points and the Bulls money line. They just seem like the more talented team right now, and they have a lot of past head-to-head success against Miami. So I'll be most likely looking towards the Bulls at plus 5.5 and that money line plus 200. But my biggest bet will be on I'll give out in the Ball and Parlay about a player prop.
I mean, Skee, he talked about it, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the public going that way, right? Because you watched the Chicago Bulls get the win, and then you look Miami. Offense looks pretty lackluster there in the loss to the Atlanta Hawks, who aren't necessarily known as a defensive juggernaut. What do you think here when the Heat host the Bulls tonight?
The Bulls were the public team last game, and the Bulls still managed to come back and win that game, cover, etc. So
Yeah.
I didn't care last game. I don't care this game. I agree that the Bulls are the more talented team. I mean, the Heat, all they have right now is Jimmy Butler that you can trust, and outside of him, it's nobody. Scam out of bio. I'm done with him, and
Tyler, not a
yeah,
hero.
yeah, Tyler not a hero. Yeah, I'm done with the Miami Heat, man. Chicago, at least you got two stars you can trust to put the ball in the basket with Zach LaVine. I like what 5-star was saying about how he took over the game last game, and DeMar DeRozan has killed this Heat team all year. So if you just spread them out up top like they was doing at the end of the game, it's gonna be hard for the Heat to stop no matter what defense they play, even if they go zone. So I have to take the points with the Bulls. Miami Heat are like 11, 23, and 3. as a home favorite. No way am I going to be laying anything with Miami anytime soon. Um, Bulls plus the points, Bulls money line. Only way I can look in this game.
All right, Skee and 5 Star both like the Bulls here. And after watching that Heat offense, like I said, Hawks aren't necessarily a defensive juggernaut. And the offense
Right.
was still pretty rough, right? Hey, they
They
said they
got to
wanted,
make 33s, man. If they not making
yeah.
like a ridiculous amount of threes, they don't have a chance. With Kyle Lowry is your number one option, you're in trouble, man. That's too old now.
Yeah, I mean they wanted the NCAA feel there for that playing game, but I don't. They got some NCAA offense out there from the Miami
Yeah,
Heat.
for real.
The Thunder are also plus 5.5, so they're right below that key number of 6 that the teams like to foul through. Once again, the Thunder were plus 5.5 against the Pelicans. They went outright. Now they travel to Minnesota, who took on a team. Boy, talk about a team in turmoil, right? Um, Losing Jaden McDaniels is huge. We already talked about that. Who knows what's going on with Rudy Gobert? I don't know if he plays tonight. It's probably better if he doesn't. The way Chris Finch designs his defense is better with only one big on the floor. And if I were the T-Wolves, I'd probably be trying to outscore the Thunder, not get into a defensive battle with them. Quite the travel. And then, of course, losing that game in that fashion. So how are they going to feel even if they're up 10 going into the fourth quarter? Right? Because that was really a tough way to lose there on Tuesday night. Once again, same situation though, right? It's hard not to be biased because we watched one team win and exceed expectations, and we watched another team flounder. 5 Star, how do you approaching the Thunder and the T-Wolves?
Most likely, I'm going to be on Minnesota this game. I think that Minnesota bounces back from the Lakers' disappointment. I think that they look at OKC as some young boys that, they're in that same little age range and like, hey, we could beat these guys, and they're kind of confident tonight. I think that everybody buys in a little bit too much to the OKC performance last game, and that they can't go on the road twice and win. They're a really good home team, but they're still young, man. And what they did with the Pelicans, I think, was more of the Pelicans doing, and they did take advantage of it, but the Pelicans didn't play any defense. I think that was the only game that went over out the
It
whole
was.
weekend. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Well, you know what? No, Miami went over by half a point.
okay, Miami went over by a point. Yeah, but that one flew over. So I just don't think that New Orleans gave much of an effort, man. And I I like the two leaders for Minnesota. First, Ant. I think that Ant bounces back. He had an embarrassing performance on a nationally televised uh it
You
game
think he's
everyone had
hurt
eyes
though?
on.
That's what I'm worried about.
What are you hearing out the camp about injuries?
I haven't heard anything, but he did take that hard fall on the shoulder, and he didn't seem to be the same after he came back in the game.
They'll shoot him up. He's okay. And as an ex-football player, he's an ex-quarterback. He has really good traits when it comes to leadership. So I think that that 9-point performance was really disappointing. As you saw, he was doing a giveaway to some kids for tickets and stuff on Twitter. I think he's going to really put on a show at the Target Center and remind people that he's a legitimate rising star. I don't think his brand can take another game like last game. So as I said, I also be on him on the Ball and Parlay and the parlay props. Excuse me, at the player props, but I'll give that out at the end of the show. But I do like Minnesota in this game. I like how they play together. I like their leadership with Mike Conley and with Ant Edwards, and I think the Cat has a big game too. Cat's kind of settling down and getting back to himself, and there's nobody on OKC's team that can stop Cat. So I think Cat goes off, Ant goes off, and I think the Minnesota rolls by double digits.
All right, Skee, what do you think in this game?
Usually when OKC's playing, I look for the opposing big man to dominate. And that last game, usually when you Valanciunas plays at Thunder, though, he gets played off the floor because he's a little bit too slow. But last night, he was dominating in the beginning of the game,
Mm-hmm.
and for some reason, in the third quarter, he took 0 shots. Like they just stopped going to him or whatever. So
Crazy.
this Minnesota team, I don't think you'll see them go away from Karl Anthony Towns. Um, if Gobert plays, he's not the biggest offensive guy, but he's still big enough to get off offensive rebounds and put the ball back in the basket. So I just think the size advantage for Minnesota is going to show more in this game than it did for the Pelicans. And I think that Minnesota will be a little bit more focused in this game because of how they gave the lead away. These are two teams who, if I had, like with the Lakers, they had the experience advantage. This game, Minnesota probably has the advantage. OKC is really young as well. So I think Minnesota can get it done. I probably like them in the first half, just come out focused and take that lead. But I can't talk anybody off Minnesota. Last game, I did catch a ticket with Anthony Edwards. I bet his rebounds plus assists, and that was me, betting it a little bit because I didn't think that Gobert was going to play. He didn't end up playing, and I don't think he's going to play tonight. So if he's not out there, um, after Karl Anthony Towns, I believe Edwards is the next best rebounder on the team. So 11 and a half rebounds plus assists is a good wager for Anthony Edwards tonight.
All right, there you
And that's
have
all
it.
effort. And you see that spread, that's all effort. While you betting the rebounds and assists, he knows that regardless of if he's putting the ball in the basket, Edwards competes. He's gonna compete, man. He wants to win.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm a big Anthony Edwards guy. Let me down last game. Let's see if he's able to come through tonight. Then we go into this first round, right? We all get excited for the playoffs. Some of these matchups I'm not necessarily that excited about. The first one, the Brooklyn Nets, plus 8.5, taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, the Nets are cool, right? They're that nice little NBA hipster team that I'm going to ride during the regular season. When you're actually matching up with them and you're preparing for them, I don't know. I mean, now, do they have a good chance to cover? Yeah, 8.5's a lot, right? And I'm not necessarily saying that they can't compete with the Sixers team. Hard to see them rolling into Philadelphia and getting the victory. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost this series 4-1. I could see them getting one in Brooklyn there. Not the best series. I think it's a terrible matchup for Brooklyn. I don't think they're going to have the size to match up with Philadelphia. What are your thoughts here, 5-star, as the Nets are catching 8.5?
This game, the only way that I would probably play it would be with probably the Sixers first half. I think that the Sixers are have a mentality when Embiid really focused. There's been a lot of noise in the media about him with the MVP and different people with different opinions about whether he should win it or not. But most of all, I've been hearing about he's the only dominant player in the last decade or so that hasn't even been to the conference finals. So I think that they come out against a little brother in the East that they know pretty well, and I do know that this Nets roster is revamped, but they do have some really good players, but they don't really have a one. So I expect Mikal Bridges to probably go off, and I'll talk about that later in the Ball and Parlay because he's pretty much their first option now. I don't know if they allow Thomas to even get enough, reps to put up any points. Cam Thomas, I don't know if he gets enough reps, but I do like Cam Johnson and I do like Mikal Bridges. But besides that, they don't have much with the Nets. And like I said, I think that these Sixers might come out early and try to, plant a flag, try to send a statement, go to Embiid a lot and let him go crazy in the first half. So I'd be leaning the first half on this game, probably -5, I think it is for the Sixers. But overall for the game, I'll be on a player prop, and I'll give that out in the Ball and Parlay.
Skee, can the Brooklyn Nets keep it close against the Philadelphia 76ers?
Maybe. It's a game where I didn't really get involved on the spread. I just think that it's a game where I want to bet the series or a situation where I want to bet the series props in this one. It's hard for me to see Brooklyn winning 2 games here. I think they're lucky to be in the playoffs right now. They're really only here because of the start of the season with KD and how they were playing. Since the trade, they don't even have a winning record. So going against Philly here, who's pretty healthy at the house. I would only look towards Philly. Maybe I'll go first half just in case they left the foot off the gas at the end of the game. But as I'm talking this out, I feel like, the past couple years, and I could be wrong, but it's just my personal feeling. Like in these kind of games, you just bet the team you think is going to win and they end up covering. So I would only lean towards Philly. And what I ended up doing was betting the series under 5.5 games because, like I said, I can't see Brooklyn winning 2.
Yeah, I got a 4-1 ticket there. I think that's just the way to go. And then if they get swept, they get swept. I agree with you about these covers too, because of the way the 3-point shooting goes. It's not like happened 15 years ago, all right, or 10 years ago here. These teams blow each other out a lot, and we've actually seen a lot of like series, like go back to the Celtics Bucks a couple years ago. The only good game was Game 7. Every other game was a blowout, right? So a lot of times you are right. Just pick the winner. Hawks are catching even more points. They're +9 in Boston. Another one where I just think this is like a terrible matchup. I even think the Hawks, I think the teams would match up better if you switched them. I think the Nets match up better with the Celtics and the Hawks match up better with the Sixers here. So I think a tough matchup here for two of our lower seeds. Once again, though, 9's a lot of points. How are you approaching this one, 5-star?
I'll be on the Hawks +9 in this first game just because um, I like when teams come off of already playing a playoff game and go into, matching up with a squad who has like a young coach, like how Missoula is. It's his first time coaching the playoffs. The Celtics are the overwhelming favorites, but we know that how the Celtics play. They win by locking you down in defense to get in transition. Other than that, they take really bad shots. It's just Jason Tatum and Brown playing one-on-one. They don't run a lot of, offense. Really, you might get Hauser with some back screens and he gets some open threes, but as far as their two main guys, they don't run a lot of looks for them to get them easy baskets. It's a lot of pounding and one-on-one, and we know that's what the playoffs is kind of about like just here, get the ball, go get a basket. So that's going to benefit them at the end of the game. But I just think that they're able to stay in the game. The Hawks are, because the Hawks have a really competitive squad, man. They got some guys who are really competitive. You already know about Trae Young in the playoffs. He's a excellent playoff performer. He put 35 on the Celtics last time he played, so he's going to do his thing, I think, against them and break down the defense. With Capella, it's very competitive. DeJounte Murray's competitive. Daniel Hunter's competitive. John Collins is competitive. The kids that's coming off the bench for them are even competitive for the Hawks. So I think the Hawks underachieved a lot this year, and they're kind of underappreciated. And I think that they have a way better team and better roster than people are giving them credit for. And I think that they can give the Celtics a run for their money in the first game. I don't, the series, I'm sure as time goes on, the better team is going to always win. But I don't think this is going to be as easy as people think it's going to be. I think the Hawks are a legit team.
What do you think, Skee? 5-star's taking the points here with the Hawks.
I can't talk you off. The Hawks are not great defensively, but they are capable offensively. And they're not a team anymore where you can just take the ball out of Trae Young's hands and, it's going to mess up the whole entire rhythm that they have. I think having Murray over there helps out a lot of that. And just me trusting them offensively and this many points, they're starting to play a little bit better, starting to trust what Snyder's doing over there. So I agree. I lean towards Atlanta in the first game. I probably feel more comfortable betting it over just because when I like Atlanta, they don't play a whole lot of defense. They got to win by outscoring people. So lean Atlanta, lean over. Maybe a team total there. As far as the series, they're giving you over 5.5 games on the series, plus 150. It's tough for the Hawks to win too.
Yeah.
But I would bet that before I bet for the Celtics to be, expected to just dominate this series.
Yeah, and it's a lot of stuff going on with the Celtics, man. Jaylen Brown is already talking about going to Houston. Like it's being run daily in Houston on the radio. I guess him and Ime Udoka is going to be a package to the Rockets, man. And people in Boston, they don't really like Jaylen Brown, like the fans and stuff, because he's, outspoken and he's calling them out a lot about their bull crap. So I'm not saying it affects them. He might be able to just lock you in and say, hey, this is the playoffs. None of this matters. Let's just go get a championship. But then he also might come in with, thinking about other things like, do I really want to help this franchise win a championship? Do I really want to see Tatum continue to, get all the shine and on me? I think that Jaylen Brown is going to be to the Rockets kind of like what Harden was if they can get him over there. And that's, a guy was the second fielder but has the ability to run the show if he's given a team. So I think that he's got half a foot out the door. So he better come focused when they play the Hawks, man. The Hawks, like Skee said, can put the ball in the basket. The last time that both full rosters played, at the time they played earlier, but it was like all just no names. Everybody, that was playing weren't starters. But the game when all the starters and everyone played, they scored 260 together. It was 134 to 125. So like Skee said, the over is probably the play here as well.
Yeah, the Hawks match up with the Celtics. It's rough. They have plenty of perimeter defenders to go ahead and throw at Trae and DeJounte, and I don't know if they can punish them inside. So we'll see how this.
But
one goes.
This is my thing now. Spread real quick on that. What you just said. defense, just like out in the NFL, defense does win now, but we know with the rules and everything, man, it's an offensive world on in basketball and football, baseball, everything now. It's about the offense. So
Yeah, I don't think the
even though
Hawks
they
will get
have,
swept.
they
They're
can't
going to
stop them
explode
like
one
that, you know.
game. They're going to explode
Yeah,
one game, but overall, I don't know. I mean, I guess if they're able to go against the Heat defense, but the Heat are a smaller team.
I
Uh,
just think a point guard like Trey Young gives you a chance every night in the playoffs because if you're hitting your shot, you're going to get
Yeah.
opportunities. He gives you a
You
shot every
remember?
night.
You remember last year? I used to always say, "If there's trade, there's a way."
If there's Trey, there's a way. I'm telling you, he's one of those guys in the playoffs, man. Watch him.
well, I hope so because I'm worried that this is going to be a really boring series. This one I'm excited for. The Knicks are plus 5.5. They're at Cleveland. The 4-5 series is usually the best in the first round, and I would say it's fair to say in the Eastern Conference, it's definitely true. This should be the most competitive series. It's a great matchup for both teams. And I know there's a lot of talk about Donovan Mitchell, but Jalen Brunson has been pretty good. And Jalen Brunson does have that playoff pedigree. So two teams that are fairly evenly matched. The Knicks are getting 5.5 here against Cleveland. I wouldn't be surprised to see an under here. Of course, this is one of the lowest totals on the board. What are your thoughts here when the Knicks take on the Cavaliers?
I actually think the Knicks can win this series, man. The Cavs are a really good team, but they got a bad matchup when they ran into the Knicks. For some reason, the Knicks might play them tougher than any team, probably in the East, besides, of course, Milwaukee. Um, they just match up really well with them, and Brunson can challenge Mitchell on the defensive side and make him play defense. And we all know he doesn't want to do that because he wants to keep his energy for offense. And if you don't have Donovan Mitchell running around going crazy, then now you're in a situation where they got to rely on their big scoring. And I just don't see them putting up enough points. The Knicks are a really deep, versatile team. Quickly is my guy, man. Quickly is a killer. I think Quickly's going to have a big series. He's one of those guys that's very underrated. You got Barrett is a really good two-way player. Obi Toppin's coming on, and he's going to be, getting his opportunity in this series. I just think the Knicks are going to stay around, and Brunson is one of those type of point guards that knows how to control the pace and control the game. But for sure in this game one, I'd definitely be on the Knicks plus the points.
All right, you like the Knicks plus the points. I agree with most of your breakdown, except for Obi Toppin. I don't think Tibbs likes him. I think we're going to see a real short rotation, and he's not going to get a lot of.
You don't think he's going to get it to run?
Some players, they don't mix well with their coaches. Cam Reddish is that same way. I feel like Obi Toppin, Tibbs just doesn't give him any leash when he makes defensive mistakes. So we'll see.
But Mitchell Robinson is the great eraser. Mitchell Robinson really gives the Cavs big men who they usually have an advantage on other teams. Mitchell Robinson gives them issues, man. Mitchell Robinson is really good on the defensive side, and he's really a good rebounder. He always is. He's like the anchor of that defense. Wherever he's supposed to be, he's there. And Tibbs does a really good job using him. And also somebody that is really underrated on defense for them is the kid out of Houston, man, Grimes. He plays really good defense on the wing,
I
man.
like him a lot.
Yeah, I think that he's going to shut down. What's the second guy for the Cavs?
Darius Garland.
The Darius Garland. I think he's going to muscle him. I think he's going to take him off his spot.
Skee, 5-star likes the Knicks plus 5.5. What do you think here when the Knicks take on the Cavaliers?
I was thinking about that too. The Knicks, as good as the Cavs have been at home, the Knicks have been a good road team as far as against the spread all season too. And I want to say the Knicks even have a winning record at home too. So that makes me think that this series is going to be more competitive. You can get plus 1.5 games for the Knicks. The Cavs are going to have to win on the road for that not to cash. And they do not have a winning record on the road. So I think that's the way I'll lean to go. The market looks like it's liking, the Knicks as well. Or I see on this screen that I'm looking at, a lot of people betting the Cavaliers and the line just dropping a little bit the opposite way. So I think the Knicks are a little bit more the sharp side in game one. I'd probably play over, my bad here. I play plus 1.5 games, or I play over 5.5 games, but the 5.5 games started to get a little bit juiced. So that's what I'm thinking about with this Knicks and Cavs team.
All right. Let's talk about The main event on Saturday night. That's right. It'll be the first playoff game in Sacramento in over 16 years since Ron Artest was named Ron Artest. That's how long it's been since the Kings have been in the playoffs. Closest game on the board. Kings are -1. Kind of wild for a team to be plus 260 to win the series, but only be -1, right? You'd think they'd be -5 or -6 of that number. For me, right, just trying to take my heart out of it, the Warriors on the road have been a pretty easy fade for me this year, right? It's been one of those things where I don't even bother looking at the projections when they're on the road. It was just kind of wild. It felt like it was one of the biggest mistakes the books were making, right? I mean, the team was like 7-25 on the road, and they're laying like 3 in places like Denver and New Orleans. And just, it was just wild to me that the Warriors were continuing to get respect on the road when there was nothing from this season that showed the results other than the names on the back of the jerseys. So, of course, the playoff experience is there. Andrew Wiggins will be back. Yet he's a huge unknown. We haven't seen him play in I don't know how long. I do like the Kings to win game 1 and the Warriors to win the series. That's kind of how I'm approaching this one. What do you think, 5-star?
This one is going to be a really tough series, man. The Warriors are 5-13 against the spread in their last 18 meetings with the Kings. So the Kings have been playing them pretty tight.
A lot of those games,
years,
though,
and now
right,
they
were
have
like
Mike.
plus 10s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but still, regardless, if you're keeping it within the number, that means that you're playing, tight games with this organization, man. And we know that the owner
Good
for the
point.
Kings
All right.
comes from the Warriors and how much he's obsessed with them. Mike Brown comes from the Warriors, so this is like a real a lot of familiarity in this series. Now, this is the question. Do the Warriors have the ability to turn the switch? We've seen in the past with these Warriors team, they're usually a good regular season team, have home court advantage, dominate through the playoffs, except for last year. Last year, they got hot late, turned on the switch. Can they do it again? Do they have enough energy left as they get a little bit older and a little bit longer in the tooth? Clay, as we talked about earlier in the week, spread, he's a back offensively, but defensively, he isn't giving you as much as he used to. So it's going to probably be a lot of points scored in this game. We're dealing with the number 1 scoring offense in the league. Now it comes down to the fourth quarter, and I trust De'Aaron Fox. I think De'Aaron Fox can score on the Warriors in the fourth quarter and get buckets when it counts. Whereas the Warriors can as well, but they're shooting from range. And in the past, they've been so good at shooting from the deep ball that it didn't matter because they were getting 3 every time you got 2. But this year on the road, they haven't been as effective as in the past. So it's hard to bet against the Warriors for the series, like you said. You got so many veterans. Draymond Green's talking a lot. He just already look past you guys. You heard him say, I think the Lakers beat Memphis and did after we take care of our business. So he's kind of overlooking the Kings. So I expect the Kings to be fired up first game at home in 13 years, right, Spread? How long you guys been
Yeah.
out the
No, it's
playoffs?
longer. It's been like 16.
So
That year was
16 years.
2006 that Ron
All
Artest
right.
led us there.
Like, hey, like the beam. We're going with the Kings. The Kings on the blowout the first game, and then the Warriors come back game 2 and probably win. But first game 1, I like the Kings.
All right. Love to hear that. Skee, a lot of times maybe we just don't like people that are way bigger than us, right? But we always hear about big men getting played off the floor. Rudy Gobert getting played off the floor in the playoffs, right? Steven Adams last year gets played off the floor. We even mentioned Valanciunas earlier when we were talking about the Pelicans and how they went away from him. In this series, though, I think it's the opposite. I'm looking at a smaller player that could potentially get played off the floor, and I'm speaking of Jordan Poole. This could be a situation where, right, we get less time from Poole because he's just going to be too much of a target defensively, right? And if I have Poole and Steph out there, that might be too much for the Kings. How do you think the Kings match up with the Warriors, and how are you approaching this game?
I think Poole will be all right. I think I agree with what you guys are saying as far as the Kings in game 1, just because the Warriors, like for Wiggins is coming back, but he's going to be on a minutes limit. He hasn't played in forever. And I mean, he's a big part of their success. A big reason why they aren't able to play that good of a defense. Although they've started to get better defensively with Gary Payton, he's the other piece. So when you look all year what Golden State has done on the road, especially, they haven't been able to win because they haven't been able to stop anybody. That's changing now. And to end the season, Draymond was talking about it, saying how they want to take these last road games serious, show everybody, and they won 4 of the last 5. So I just think Gary Payton and then Wiggins coming back is gonna make that defense a hell of a lot better. And if they can do that, I like the Warriors to win the series. They're gonna have the advantage, in my opinion, the longer the series goes on. So I'm not necessarily gonna take them in game one, but the way I chose to play the Warriors here, because the series price was like minus close to $3. I went with 3 bets. They're all going to be plus money, and also the over 5.5 games is close to $2, minus $2. So I went Golden State to win in 7 is plus 575. Golden State to win in 6 is plus 245. Golden State to win in 5 is plus 425. So if I'm betting this, and we all think Golden State's going to win the series, we're just not sure exactly when. As long as the Kings win one game here and Golden State wins the series, I'll make a profit. If I put 2 units on each, if Golden State wins in 7, I'll make a little bit over 7 units. If Golden State wins in 6, I'll make like 0.9 units. And if they win in 5, I'll still make a little bit more than 4 units. So that's the way I chose to play it. That's the way that made the most sense to me. I think Golden State gets it done. I think the Kings at least still one game out of the series, probably game 1.
I think that's a great way to approach it. If I were only to make one of those bets, right? If someone didn't want to put all that out there, I would take the Warriors in 6. It seems like it makes a lot of sense, but we just dropped one at home, and I can't see us winning in Chase Center at all, right? So you almost like chalk up game 3, 4, and 6 to the Warriors, right? Just put them down as automatic W's right now. So that's why I like the Warriors in 6 of that play, but I think we have some good approaches to it. Let's move to Sunday. Your main event, Skee, as the Los Angeles Lakers are plus 3.5, taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. And 5-star, we'll start with you, but Skee, I want you to talk about some of the things. I thought the Lakers looked vulnerable on Tuesday. That's not the best playoff tested Timberwolves team. I felt the Timberwolves gave away a lot. I think LeBron started to look his age towards the end of the game. We saw some uncharacteristic turnovers from him. Usually he's one of the most careful people with the ball, and I kind of attributed that to fatigue. Of course, I don't know if the X factor, but the key to the Lakers is always going to be the play of Anthony Davis. If he's a top 5 player, they should win. But if he kind of shrinks or gets discouraged, as we've seen him do as well, this could be a nice spot for the Grizzlies here. Skee's going to hate this, but I like the Grizzlies in game 1. I'm not necessarily saying I like the Grizzlies for the series, but the Grizzlies are another team that, we talked about things we did like fade the Warriors on the road. The Grizzlies were one this year. I kind of just always bet them at home. Regardless, they were excellent straight up and also excellent against the spread at home. More rested team, and they're not going to fall apart with the lead the way the Timberwolves did. So I haven't planted a flag there on the series, but I like the Grizzlies here on Sunday, game 1. What do you think, 5-star?
I have a ticket on the Lakers to win the West and to win the championship for an astronomical number. So I definitely want them to win the series, but I really was kind of rooting for Minnesota. I wanted the Lakers to play Denver first round. Denver hasn't been playing that well, and they match up really well against Denver. And I think the Lakers could have just really just took it to them. I think Anthony Davis could have just overpowered Jokic and, had Jokic really thinking about, am I really a 2-time MVP, and, try to, maybe hit him with the, the dream versus David Robinson type of scenario, because AD owns Jokic. He always plays really well against Denver. So I wanted them to play the Nuggets. Then they would have just jumped into the number 1 seed and took that route, and I think they would have beat the Nuggets. I'm worried about this series, man. I'm going to be honest. And the reason why is because everyone's talking Lakers, and Memphis is the wrong team for older teams like the Lakers to play against. This team is disrespectful. They're that young kid who goes and take over the block and doesn't care about how long everyone's been out there hustling.
You calling
they're
him
like
Marlo?
Yeah,
Memphis
they're
Grizzlies or
Marlo.
Marlowe?
They're
Price of the
Marlo.
brick just went up.
They don't give a damn about anything that was going on the block before. They really want to embarrass you in front of your people. So this first game, that's gonna be my biggest bet of the year. They gotta call me a fool. The Memphis is 35-6 at home, and the Lakers, they've been better in the second half on the road, but they're still 20-21 on the road. I just don't think that they have the wheels to run with this team. I think that Memphis is gonna be fired up at the grindhouse. Um, they're gonna be playing whoop that trick, and I think game one, I'm all on Memphis. I think Memphis is gonna be really motivated because but after the little thing that went on with Shannon Sharp and Dylan Brooks, and it kind of sparked a little rivalry between these two teams. So it's not any uh, love lost here. So if anyone, the Grizzlies don't have a problem getting up for anyone, but believe me, they're gonna be way up for the Lakers coming to town, especially game one. As the series goes on, we'll see if Anthony Davis can stay healthy and stay playing well. LeBron can stay healthy for game seven because this series most likely goes to game seven. I see both teams holding home court, but Memphis could win in LA a lot easier than I could see LA winning in Memphis. So game seven, though, it comes down to, it's anybody's ball game. We know that. So I don't know if the Lakers can win in seven, but if they win the series, I expect them to win in seven.
Yeah, Skee, you can already hear me complaining, right? When Anthony Davis gets Jaren Jackson 2 quick fouls. All right,
damn it.
Yeah, call me the mechanic. I'm going to be talking about so much fixes. What are your thoughts here? And go ahead and give right. I mean, can't be a popular show going ahead and talking bad about the Lakers, right? I know that from my own personal experience, right? So go ahead and give the people what they want. Talk to us about the Lakers.
Well, first of all, Jaren Jackson, it's not even going to be the refs. Jaren Jackson, he's just a hack. He's going to get fouls regardless. And
that's not going to stop my narrative. I'm still going to complain like it's unjust.
He does not play smart on defense. He's right. He plays, may get some dumb fouls. He be a half court hacking people.
And he's like his fifth year. Like if it's his second year, you're like, okay, bud.
Yeah.
Just that. And then he's going to have to play defense on Anthony Davis in this one without Steven Adams being there. So I just think he's going to be in foul trouble, and the Lakers are going to live in the paint at that point. Is that going to happen in game one? Maybe not. I mean, the Lakers, I think they're really tired coming into this game versus the Grizzlies team who are extremely rested. So Grizzlies really do have an advantage for game one. And we also know LeBron usually, a little bit of a fill-out game in game one. The more the series goes on, I'll trust the Lakers. But I don't, just in case Lakers do sneak that game one out, I did put in the Lakers it was plus 130 to win the series. If they lose, I'll just double back again. So that's the way I chose to play. I'm not mad at anybody who takes Memphis in that first game.
Well, are you taking them in the first game?
I just played the series. I'm not going to place a bet on the first game.
Yeah,
and if the Lakers lose, I'll come back and put another bet on the series.
I think if you like the Lakers, you wait. Just like I was saying earlier, if you like the Warriors, you wait.
I've been in this position before in LeBron James games, and the last time
he's not the best game one player, is he?
But I've done this before. Like I remember when it was Cavs versus Raptors, I'm like, they're gonna lose game one, and then I'm gonna come back and bet them game two. It was real close, and he hit the game winner, and I couldn't get involved in the series the rest of the way. I don't want to be that way, so I put my stake in the beginning. If they lose, I'll put more.
Yeah, you still got a chance.
I'll take the Grizzlies game one, and then depending on what I see, I might jump in on the Lakers to win the series at that point. So what is the series price here for the Lakers?
I saw
right now they're plus 135. So can you imagine after they lose game one, you should be getting like plus 200.
Yeah, I'll take it.
And you have LeBron in a game seven. So not to mention those referees, but we won't spend too long on that. Clippers plus 7. Seems like too many points here, 5-star. Seems like too many points. I mean, I understand the Suns are, to me, the rightful favorites in the Western Conference. I don't think they've lost a game with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker on the floor at the same time. But still, I think you're overlooking really what's going to be a tough Clippers team. And, a guy in Kawhi Leonard who I think can match Kevin Durant step for step when need be. And he's going to be needed with no Paul George in the lineup. I like the Clippers plus the points here. But I do think the Suns win the series. What are your thoughts here on this game?
I would probably go with you on this game. I don't really like betting Clippers games, man. Um, you just don't know which version of that team you're going to get. You know, they could be one of the better teams in the whole association, and then sometimes, man, they look like they don't even belong on the court with some of these Western Conference teams. Um, my guy Ty Lue, that's the homie. We'll see if he can step up and be playoff Ty Lue and get some things done. Bones Highland is the key to this series. They're going to need some big minutes out of him with no Paul George. They're going to have to find Paul's 25 points from somewhere. And the most likely place I could think of is a combination between of Man, Gordon, and Bones Highland. But I'm really high on Bones Highland. I liked him a lot when he was in college at Virginia Commonwealth. And he's translated really well to the NBA. I was surprised that Denver traded him, but now he's a Clipper and maybe he can flourish under Ty Lue. But I, like you said, this would have to be take the points or pass for me just because regardless, it's a playoff game. Two teams that are familiar with each other, two coaches that are veterans, and two stars. You know, and don't get me wrong, Booker is a 1B. I don't call him an elite player like KD and Kyrie is, but you know, Kyrie Leonard has an excellent track record in the playoffs. He's always been a great playoff performer, so I wouldn't expect anything different on Sunday. So I most likely be looking to his point total, his over and under on his point total on that game if I play anything. But if I had to pick a side, I'd lean definitely Clippers +7.
And if there's any dog I like straight up, give me that Clippers money line. Right, that's my favorite money line of the day. And of course, I'm factoring in, of course, that the Lakers are half the price, right? So if you're just making pick one to win, obviously the Lakers are +3.5. But at the price, I think the best money line dog. I got to get this cat out of here. The best money line dog to me is the Clippers. What do you think, Skee? Do you agree, or am I drinking that Ty Lue Kool-Aid?
I think this series will be closer than people think. People are already just saying Phoenix will advance. It'll be easy, blah, 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 blah. I do trust Ty Lue's coaching. I think Kawhi has potential to be the best player in the series. And if he's playing like that, along with, like you said, Bones Highland, he had a big game lately. He can definitely put the ball in the basket. I think the Clippers, have enough to make this competitive. So I'll lean towards grabbing the points. I think over 5.5 games in the series is a solid bet. And I'll wait and see what happens in this series if they lose the first game, because then I'll probably get a solid, Clippers +2.5 games, and I'll be willing to bet that. I think the more the series goes on, we've seen Ty Lue make really good adjustments. So that's how I feel about this one.
Yeah, that's one bad thing about trying to take that Clippers in game one, though, right? It doesn't feel like he starts coaching until game 3.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
all right.
That is his style.
Skee, did you have any thoughts about any of the other series, or maybe any bets you placed that I didn't ask about?
I feel like we touched on everything, every series that's about to go. So
yeah.
What are you playing tonight, Skee? What exactly are you playing tonight for these Friday night games?
So far, I've only bet the Bulls, and I bet Anthony Edwards rebounds and assists.
Okay, so Skee has, for you guys, we all got the Bulls +5.5, and then Skee says he's going with Anthony Edwards over rebounds plus 11.5 rebounds plus assist, and I like that a lot. Skee, we always appreciate you for taking time and stop by. I know you got to get to your other show, man. We'll talk to you very soon, man. Best of luck with all your best this weekend.
Sounds good, brother. Later. Appreciate you guys as well.
For sure.
All right, let's move on to the Ball and Parlay. We got some winners for you. Start with you, 5-star. What do you got for us?
I'm gonna wear out these player props, man. That's the best thing going right now with these teams. When you focusing on 10 different players, you don't know who's gonna do what, or with the bench and everything. Now you getting into 15 players, and it's a lot easier being able to focus on what these individuals do and what are they attempting to accomplish as players, and what type of temperaments that they have in these series. So that's why I like DeRozan today. DeRozan had a down game last game, but he's really killed Miami in the past. 24.5 I feel like is a really short number for someone like DeMar who he gets as many buckets as he wants. You know, he has a green light. He can shoot it whenever he wants to. A lot of plays are ran for him at the elbow. And I think there'll be a lot of attention on Zach LaVine after his last game. We know how Miami is about defensive bolster. So we're going to go with DeRozan over 23.5 points. We're also going to go with Anthony Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards is a big-time player. I think he's a competitive guy. And I think that he has a lot of pride. He really played horrible in L.A. The whole world saw it. He only went for 9 points. I think he goes back to Minnesota and puts up some real points in a winning effort tonight against an OKC team who doesn't have anyone who can shut him down. Also, I like Mikal Bridges on Saturday. He's the Nets' #1 option. He's going back home to Philly. He just had a recent interview talking about how pissed he was that the Sixers traded him. He wanted to stay home in Philadelphia, and his dream was playing for Philly. So I think that he goes and they're really motivated. And he's the only thing that the Nets really have. This is his first time on the team being the #1 option in the playoffs. I think his playoff experience with deep runs with the Suns comes in handy. And I think that his coaching staff with the Nets trust him with the ball in his hands, and he's able to go over 26.5. And also just a couple I want to throw in as bonuses for you guys to keep an eye on. Josh Giddey played an unbelievable game last game. I expect him to be a focus this game of the defense, and I think that he goes under his 21.5 after a spectacular performance last game. I think he comes a little bit back down to earth. I like the under on Josh Giddey, and I also like Karl Anthony Towns to record a double-double. I think that he gets a double-double tonight.
All right. I love the DeRozan play the most out of the ones that you gave out there. It's a great matchup for him. So I expect DeRozan to have a big night, especially against that Heat defense, right? They qualify in team defense. It's what they're so good at. And how do you beat that? Just pure one-on-one play. And that's what DeRozan is going to bring. We already touched on it earlier, so you guys know the reason. But give me the Bulls plus 5.5. Normally you'd say, well, the Bulls have the better offense, but the Heat have the better defense, and that's if you're just stereotyping. But if you've watched since the All-Star break, since they've added Pat Beverly, the Bulls are actually a top 5 defense by defensive rating, right? So they can match them defensively. They have way more firepower on the offensive end. Of course, you always have to worry about, quote-unquote playoff Jimmy, but at this point in the playoffs, that's going to happen in every single game you bet. You're always going to have to worry about the other team's star going nuclear and beating you single-handedly. So that's a risk I'm willing to take. Give me the Bulls plus 5.5.
All right, guys, we gave you plenty looks for the weekend. You got Anthony Edwards tonight over 26.5. DeMar DeRozan tonight over 23.5. Saturday, Mikal Bridges over 26.5. And also threw us a lean out there. Cat tonight, Karl Anthony Towns with a double-double, and Josh Giddey going under 21.5 points. And we all like the Bulls plus 5.5. Hey, man, it's been great talking to you guys this week. We got the NBA playoffs started. This is the time that I like the NBA. This is when we're getting the best out of everyone. No one's sitting out. No one's going to visit their side pieces before the game. They're focused on basketball, and we get the best of these guys. Anything for the people before we get out of this spread?
Light the beam.
Light the beam, baby. I can't wait to light the beam with you. That's going to probably be my second biggest bet. My biggest bet will be Memphis minus 3.5, and then I'm going to come back. We're going to go with the Kings for the game, man, for sure. I really like that Kings squad and how they match up with the Warriors, and the Warriors have not been good at home. Hey, guys, we'll catch you back here at the Wagering World Daily on Monday. We're here Monday through Friday, all through the NBA playoffs. Best of luck to you all.